Hello, Fat Grandma here. If you have not been here before, my name is Paula. I have a small eBay store. I was occasionally selling on Poshmark. I have halted my sales on Poshmark for the time being. I do have items listed over at District in Knickknacks, which is the Crazy Lamp Lady store. I have not had a sale on District in about a month. So it's been a while. It's worse than Poshmark was, or close to the same. I think if you don't go live, there's just really not activity, and that's what it boils down to. I cannot go live currently. At some point, whenever I move, if you guys have been watching, you know that I'm on list trying to get an apartment somewhere, and I'm just waiting. So once I've moved and I'm settled, then I should be able to go live, and I'll probably start out with Whatnot. Not positive yet, but that is what I'm thinking. So at some point, maybe I'll get there. I have 39 solds since the beginning of January. My sales that I'm going to go through are from January 4th through the 28th. There's 39 of them, which isn't a lot in the grand scheme of things, but it's a lot for me to go through in one video. So I'm going to try to make this quick. I know I'm already dragging it out and I've already talked for a minute and a half. So I'm going to try to go through these quickly, try not to drag anything out or tell too many stories because I do that. So um, hopefully this won't take too long. And anyway, here we go. So the first item I sold was an ivory and turquoise cable knit pillow. It was a 14 by 14. It came with a throw blanket. It was still in the packaging, new old stock basically, and it looked like it was from the 80s or 90s, probably the 90s. Anyway, it sold for $12.99, and the buyer paid $9.35 in shipping. I will talk about my profit and all of that stuff at the end. So the next item that I sold was a Russian wood figurine. It was vintage folk art, girl with a bowl and spoon. It was wooden, and it was 5.5 inches tall. Sold for $8, and the shipping paid was $6.78. The next item I sold was a dragonfly teapot. I put whimsical, 3 3/4 inches tall, thirsty stone. It was in very good condition. This originally came with a cup that fit with the teapot somehow. Anyway, the cup was not with it, so I sold it by itself, $5.69, and shipping paid was $8.07. That was in my store for a very long time, and I was getting ready. I've been going through my store and pulling things that I'm going to take to the swap meet at the end of February, hopefully. That was one of the things that was going to be going with me, but it sold. So the next item I sold was a pair of egg coddlers, Royal Worcester, and it was the June Garland design. There was no box with them. They sold for $15. Shipping paid was $7.15. And I don't remember where I got those, but probably an auction lot with other stuff. The next item I sold, do not pick these up. If you have them sitting around because your mother got them or you bought them or whatever, and there's really no cost involved, then you can list them, but it will take forever for them to sell. 2008 Avon Honor Society teacup and saucer set sold for $5.99. Shipping was $9.47. I think I still have two of the teacups left. I paid $3 a piece for the cups and saucers at one of the thrift stores, and I wish I'd never picked them up. They are taking forever. The last two, if they don't sell here in the next month or so, they're going to get donated. I'm not even going to bother taking them to the flea market because no one's going to buy them there either. Next item I sold was an expandable trivet. It was Godinger silver. Was plated, and it was 8 1/4 square inches. Anyway, it was vintage from 1993. Did not sell for very much. I did not make much on this item. Sold for $8, and shipping paid was $7.35. The next item I sold, and this came in a lot with a bunch of other stuff, was a floral Chinese 3D hand painted ginger jar or prunus jar. It was about 4.5 inches tall, vintage. It was really pretty. You guys will see photos up here if you haven't been here before or seen any of my solds videos. Anyway, that sold for $11.99 and shipping was $9.47. I have been running this month, especially earlier in the month. I was running sales. I was sending out offers more than normal and just trying to generate some business. It did help a little. Um, the next item I sold was an amber orange vintage art glass hand blown with crosshatch decorative glass jar. That's how I had it listed. This thing was so weird. I got it in an auction. I paid $5 for it. I should not have, but it was so unusual. I thought someone's going to want this. Well, it took a very long time for it to sell. I learned my lesson with that. I don't know if it was the color, if it was just it was kind of ugly, but it was weird. Sometimes those things will sell well, but it sold for 960 and shipping paid was 947. And it was the same lady that bought the ginger jar that I just talked about, the floral ginger jar. She bought both items. So anyway, it's gone, so I'm glad. The next item I sold was a black raven on a skull with red flowers resin figurine. And I put Halloween in the description, so weird stuff is still selling even in January. Sold for $9.99 and shipping paid was $6.78. Now, I screwed up on this order. I had two versions of this same item. One had a purple flower and one had red flowers. Well, the last time someone ordered one, I must have sent them the wrong one because when I went to pull this and it was the last one I had, I only had the purple flower left and they bought the red flower. So I emailed the buyer, asked her if she minded getting the one with the purple flower instead, and that I would refund her shipping to compensate her. I did not want to have to cancel this order. This is very bad for your eBay account if you cancel orders. If the buyers request to cancel, then you're fine. But if you have to cancel an order because you lost the item or you can't find it or it's broken or some random reason, it is not good for your eBay account. So I will avoid that at all cost. And so I refunded her shipping. So I made like $1 on that item instead of what I would have made. Um, anyway, but she was cooperative and I'm glad. So it could have been worse. The next item I sold was a Build-A-Bear angel bear with the entire outfit. She was really cute. I picked her up at a thrift store, paid $5 for her at the thrift store, and thinking that she might sell before Christmas, she did not. She finally sold for $7.99. I've been marking her down. Some Build-A-Bears you can find will do really well, and others just they don't do great, and this was one of them. Anyway, she sold for $7.99. Shipping paid was $9.47. So I made my money back, but I did not make any profit. The next item I sold was a bobble rooster or chicken figurine. It was glass acrylic. Glass with some acrylic and metal spring legs. It was 6.5 inches tall. It was really kind of cool looking. It came in a lot with a bunch of other roosters and chickens, and the lot is paid for. Anyway, they paid $16.48 and $9.47 in shipping for this item. It was kind of fun. And I've gotten good feedback on it too, so I know it got there safe. I was a little concerned because the body was glass, and you know, you just never know. I'm very careful with my packing, but still, you don't know what the post office is going to do to things. Anyway, the next two items sold to the same person, so she got a bit of a discount. She messaged me prior to making an offer, and we worked out a deal. The first item was a Kirkwood Red Royal Dalton small teapot, 6 3/4. It had no lid. She paid $18 for that. She did not pay any shipping on that because she bought the other item and she paid $9.94 total for shipping. The other item was a Royal Dalton Kirkwood red lidded water pot. It was small. It was only 6 1/4 inches. It had a patent number impressed on the bottom of the water pot, and the lid was very unusual. The way that the lid fit on, you guys will see a photo up here or a couple of photos maybe. Uh, anyway, I could not find this water pot anywhere. There weren't any online anywhere. There were other pots, water pots by the same company, by Kirkwood or by Royal Dalton, that had that same weird lid, but they were different designs and different sizes even. And but they all had that same patent number. I searched the patent number, and that's how I found the other water pots. Anyway, it sold for $35. And again, she paid 18 for the teapot, 35 for the water pot, and then $9.94 in shipping for both items. So, and she left glowing reviews for me, which was really nice. She was very nice to work with. The next item I sold was a pair of vintage green enamel coffee pot kettles. They were only 6 inches tall, and I put camping or decor in my description. They sold for $9.99, and shipping was $9.17. These came in a lot that had just a bunch of random crap in it, and when I say random, I mean very random. These kettles were in it. There was a caddy for poker chips in the lot. There was a tire pump in the lot. I mean, just it was all over the place. And so this kettle, this set of kettles, paid for the lot, and then later on you'll see I sold the poker chip caddy. So but yeah. Anyway, pottles, kettles. Eh. The kettles sold for $9.99. Shipping was $9.17, and I knew that these would sell, which is why I bought the lot in the first place. I figured I'd sell the kettle. Anything that's enamel that is for camping or camping type cookware stuff seems to do really well. I don't know if it's because of where I am, because I don't. They haven't been people in Arizona that have purchased the items, so I don't know what the deal is with this enamel cookware for camping. But I've sold mugs. I sold another pot, I think. They go quick and they sell for a decent amount. I marked these down because they were pretty beat up, and they sold in less than 24 hours. So I probably could have gotten more for them, but I'm fine. They paid for the rest of the garbage that was in the lot, and stuff is still selling from that, so I'm okay. The next item I sold was a set of Disney Minnie Mouse Surprise hinged ceramic jars canisters. That was the medium and large canister. I picked these up at 99 cents only. They were $4.98 each, I believe, so around $5.50 a piece with tax and everything, or like $10.50 for both of them. Anyway, they sold for $20.99, and shipping was $13.64. I have been marking them down. I thought they might sell before Christmas, but they didn't. So I've been marking them down, and I think I took an offer on them. I can't remember, but they sold for less than I expected, but I still made a profit, so I'm fine with it. The next item I sold was a lot of 5 Robert Allen hand painted foam wax Easter chick candles. These were vintage. I recognized these like I'd seen them at some point in my life. I don't know if it was in the 80s or if it was in the 70s that these were a thing, but they were all still in their plastic wrap. Some of them were a little bit melted, but anyway, they sold for $7.99, and shipping paid was $9.47. Those came in a lot with a bunch of other Easter stuff that I got from the auction that starts out very low, and I think I paid $1 or $2 for the lot, so they really didn't cost me anything, because I think I've sold other stuff from that lot. Um, anyway, the next item I sold was a prowling wooden lion decorative figurine. Came from Unison Gifts. I found a few of these on eBay, listed and sold. Sold for $14 and $7.85 in shipping. And let's see, the next item I sold was a vintage Westmoreland milk glass swan creamer with a cattail pattern. There was no lid with it. This has been listed for about a year and a half. This is another thing that was going to go to the flea market with me or get donated. Anyway, it sold for $5.50, and shipping paid was $9.47. And I've gotten feedback already, and it arrived safe. I haven't told. I usually get feedback on about 50% of the stuff that I sell. So I looked earlier to see what my feedback ratio is, and it's about half, maybe a little less, but not much. The next item I sold, and this was a very good sale for me, was a Navajo crafted, painted, etched horsehair rainbow colors piece of pottery. It was about 5.5 inches tall. I paid up for it because I knew these sell pretty well and they do okay price wise if they have horsehair in them. And the Navajo stuff seems to do okay on eBay. Anyway, this little vase pot sold for $35 and shipping was $9.47. And I didn't have it listed very long, maybe a week or two, a couple weeks, I think was, it did good. So I've got some other Navajo pottery, but it's not horsehair, so it's taking longer to sell. Um, the next item I sold was a German Hofbrau beer wagon, hand painted, signed folk art 6-inch tile trivet. I got a lot of tiles, and I talked about this a couple videos back. I already sold one for really good, or two for pretty decent money. I only paid $2 for the entire $2 or $1 for the whole lot of trivets. No one else bid, so anything now is just clear profit. And I sold this one for $9 and $9.88 in shipping. The next item I sold was a vintage Japanese celluloid miniature diorama clamshell water wheel garden. This I've had listed for a very long time. I purchased it at the same time I got two others, and those have sold, so this one is just profit. But it did take a long time for this one to sell. It needed to be cleaned up, but with the paint on it the way that it was, I was afraid to damage it. So I just sold it the way that it was, and if somebody wants to try and clean it, they can. Anyway, it sold for $6.79 and shipping was $6.07. Okay, the next item, I don't even know how far I am on my list. There's so many things. The next item I sold was Caliente by Clay Art Stone Light clay jar with lid and handles. Cookies, treats, snacks is what I put in the listing title. Sold for $19.99 and shipping was $23.11. This is another item because it was huge. I was planning to take it to the flea market with me. I bought it from one of the auctions that starts very low, and I think I paid at the most $5 for it. Anyway, again, it sold for $19.99, so I made a decent profit on it, but it did take quite a while for it to sell, and I was really afraid this thing was not going to get there in one piece, but I did get feedback, and she's very happy with it, so yay, it made it. Anyway, you guys will see pictures, so. It was obnoxiously huge. I had to use a 13 by 13 by 13 box, and I cardboard wrapped the handles and did all kinds of things to it. So, but it got there. The next item I sold was the poker chip carousel. It was vintage. It would hold 2 decks of cards and all the poker chips, but I took the poker chips out of it because a couple of the stacks were short a few, and it just added a ton of weight to the caddy. So I took the chips out. It sold for $19.99 and $9.35 in shipping. It did have a cover that came with it, but there's a few on eBay and some have sold for a decent amount. It was a little bit beat up, but it was still in decent condition for the age. I think it was probably from the 60s. So that's kind of what it looked like, 70s at the most. Let's see, the next item I sold was a Paskin 1929 Shepherd Boy Easter plate by Bing and Grondel. And it did not have the box. And the only reason I bid on this is because I looked up the other Easter plates by Bing and Grondel, and they did have a decent sell-through rate. And this particular plate, there weren't. I don't think there were any listed. So I went ahead and bought it. I paid $5 for it. Anyway, it sold for $17.50 and $9.47 in shipping. I learned my lesson on buying plates, but every once in a while I'll still break down and buy some if they're in a set and I can see that I can just flip that set, the whole lot. Like if there's 10 consecutive years together of a specific kind of plate and I can flip that, usually I can at least double my money. So I will do that on occasion, but plates, don't always do good. So just be careful. The next item I sold was a lot of 29 DVDs. It was a used assortment, bulk, 2 without original cases and 1 Blu-ray. This lot of DVDs was horrible, and a lot of them were scratched. I got rid of all those. I donated the ones that were scratched. All that was left were these 29. They weren't a great assortment of movies, and so they sold for $9.99. Shipping was $8.42. So I at least made my money back. Made a little bit of profit, but not much. We're almost done. The next item I sold was a Lady Godiva on a white horse watercolor coffee mug. It was a Godiva chocolatier mug. I got these. It worked out to 33 cents a piece. I had 4 of them to start with. Anyway, I've now got 1 left. This one sold for $9.60 and shipping was $7.85. They used to sell for more and the price has gradually gone down. So I will probably mark down the last one and hope that someone snags it. The next item I sold was a black cat in a pumpkin hinged ceramic Halloween canister cookie jar. This was new. I picked this up at Home Goods because I had a gift card that I found, and I checked it and I had a balance left on it. So I bought 2 things. One of them already sold. This one sold for $10 and shipping was $9.47. The next item I sold was 3 vintage Nordic wooden hand-painted butter spoons. They were wall decor folk art is how I listed them. They came in a lot with a bunch of other wooden items. I sold them for $13 and shipping paid was $5.15. The next item I sold, and there's going to be a few things you're going to see here that are from the Lord of the Rings lot that I purchased. I think it was the last Ride With Me video when I did a couple of different auctions. Anyway, this was the belt buckle. It was still in the original box from 1979, and the buyer paid $19.55 for it and $5.45 in shipping. So that more than paid for the lot was only $2. No one else bid on this lot, so it was. I might as well have been free. You know what I mean? It was so cheap. The next item I sold was a vintage hand-painted porcelain Bunnytown Easter lighted school. It was 5 inches tall. This came in that Easter lot that I paid practically nothing for. Sold for $6 and shipping was $6.72. The next item came in that Lord of the Rings lot. It was a fetch, is what the name of the pewter piece was. It was a dragon and wizard miniature. It was very small. It was like 2.5 inches long and 1 inch tall. It was really cute, but I did not know how this was going to do. It was Gallo pewter from 1986, sold for $18, and it sold within just a few days. $18 and shipping paid was $5.15. So that also was from that Lord of the Rings lot. That's probably one of the best lots I've ever purchased. Cheap, and I've sold just about everything from that lot and done well on it. I may have sold everything now. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think it's all been sold. So it's been less than 2 weeks, and I've sold everything. And I've made a bunch of money. So yay. Um, the next item was a lot of 12 Littlest Pet Shop Series 2 blind box Clip It. And I put in there great birthday party gifts. These 12 boxes sold for $18. Shipping paid was $6.16. I think I about broke even on these. I may have made a couple dollars, but not much. Um, I've had them listed for a very long time. I thought they would do better, but they did not. Next item I sold was a traditional Mexican, and I don't know, I'm going to butcher this word, molinillo. It's a hot chocolate frother. It's like a whisk, but it's wood. Very intricately carved. It was really pretty. I had no idea what it was. When I got it with the lot of the wooden things, um, I didn't know what it was. I used Google Lens. Thank goodness it's out there. And it figured out what this thing was. Anyway, it sold for $12.74 and shipping paid was $6.09. This thing had some damage. Some of the prongs on the very top were broken off. And I mentioned that and I put it in the description. And, I was very obnoxious about read and all the, and the condition. And hopefully the person saw it. So again, it sold for $12.74 and $6.09 in shipping. The next item I sold was only like 5 more things. was a set of 6 tapestry placemats. It said Merry Christmas on them. They had it had a plaid border around the placemats, and then there were some trees, like 3 pine trees. I think they were different fabrics. You'll see a picture up here. Anyway, the set of 6 sold for $11.99 and $9.21 in shipping. And I paid $1 a piece for those, so I did not make a lot of profit, but it was retail arbitrage, and I had started marking them down a little bit since Christmas was over. So it's okay. I made my money back and I made a little bit of profit. Next item I sold, and this was the other one of the other items from that Lord of the Rings batch of stuff, was Lord of the Rings Argonath bookends. They were 6 inches tall by Sideshow Weta, 2002. And I put read condition in the title, and then I was, very descriptive about they they were a little bit different. They looked the same. If you just glanced at them, they looked like the same thing, but they were a little bit different. And each of the characters or the figures on each bookend was wearing a helmet, and there was one of the prongs on one of the helmets was broken off. But that's all the damage that there was, barely noticeable. And anyway, they sold for $39, and the shipping paid was $10.42. So I'm glad they sold, and hopefully the person read the notes that I put in there and looked at the photos. You just never know with people. The next item I sold, and I had no idea what this was either, I used Google Lens and found out, was an ENT from Lord of the Rings. Skinbark was the name of this character, I guess. And it was unpainted, and it was not in the packaging. There was nothing, to identify it other than, thankfully, Google Lens. Anyway, this little thing, and it was little, it wasn't very big, it was like 2.5 inches tall. I guess it's used for RPG role playing games. They have a game for Lord of the Rings, I guess. Anyway, it sold for $8.50 and $5.32 in shipping. So someone's gonna paint this thing, I guess. The next item that sold was a Lenox Florentine bell porcelain ornament with the original box. This thing was brand new. No one ever used this. It sold for $20.40 and shipping was $6.23. I think I got this. Yeah, it was $5. No one else bid on it, so I did get on that one. The next item I sold was an Essex Ware Aboriginal Art Lizard Boomerang Tankard mug. This is a piece of vintage Australian pottery. It was about 5 inches tall. I was seriously considering pulling this from my store. It's another item that has been listed for quite a while, but it sold for $17.59 and $8.52 in shipping. So I'm glad it finally sold. The last item was a lot of 15 children's books, ages toddler to 8 years. I put a list in the description of the different books and the authors. Sold for $9.99 and $7.09 in shipping. The books were, I originally had them listed age grouped. Like the first set was ages 4 to whatever, or ages 8 to like 10, and then I don't know what I had them split up anyway. But yeah, it would have been toddler to like 4 and then 4 to 8. And I ended up throwing them all together because they weren't moving, and I kept marking them down. It wasn't making any difference. I don't think I made any money on these, but at least they're gone, and somebody got a nice stack of 14 books. So again, I think I told you guys $9.99, $7.09 in shipping. Anyway, that is it for my sales. And again, this is almost the entire month of January. It's from the 4th through the 28th. It's been so long since I did a solds video. It just takes a lot of time. I have to pull all the images, and it's time consuming. So, and I also have not been in the right frame of mind or in the mood to do this. But my ASP that eBay shows was 23.43. That is not accurate. If you've heard me talk about this before, the ASP that eBay shows you on your sales report includes shipping fees that the customer paid. That is not what you're selling your item for. So that's not an accurate ASP. The actual ASP for my items over this whole entire time was 11.25. So it's up a little bit from last time. My net that eBay showed for these for almost a month was 438.88. My actual net after my cost of goods and boxes and bubble wrap and all that kind of stuff was right around $300. So, a little less than what I normally pull in for. I don't know, this is like 3 weeks, maybe almost 4 weeks from the fourth. So 1, 2, 3, 3.5 weeks. It's not as bad as I thought it was. I thought my sales were down, and they may have been a little bit, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was for the month. So, and again, it's not the entire month, but it's close. So, anyway, that's it. Thank you to the new subscribers for joining and subscribing. And my videos are kind of all over the place. You'll see ride with me's. You'll see me picking up stuff at the auction. You will occasionally see a sold video when I have the time to sit down and do one. Sometimes I'll throw it in with other stuff, but I always put chapters in. I won't do that with this video because this is just solds. So there's no other footage in here. So there will not be any chapters in here, and I should have said at the beginning, but um, anyway, that's it. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.